Hello, friends. Thanks for tuning in to Conversations in the Wild, a Maverick River podcast. Today's guest is a great friend of mine. He is no small man. He is 250 pounds and 6'5". His name is Hunter Henry, and he's been playing in the NFL for, I believe, 9 years. He's played for the Chargers and also currently at the New England Patriots. He's their tight end, and he is a total stud. Not just because he's an incredible football player, but because he understands that God has given him a platform in the NFL and to use it for God's glory and look for every opportunity to point people to Jesus. We became friends back when he was in Orange County and going to Mariners Church, and we just hit it off. We've had a great friendship, and I'm just always inspired when I get to talk to him and the way that he's leading his life. And he is married and has one-year-old boy and another on the way. So I'm really excited for you guys to get to hear our conversation. And let's keep cheering on Hunter. He's going to have a great season coming up. So, Hunter, you're awesome. Keep up the great work. All right. Well, welcome to Conversations in the Wild, Maverick River podcast. I'm really excited because as always, we have the legendary Justin Herman, and then an incredible man and professional athlete. His name is Hunter Henry. Hunter, Justin, welcome aboard.
I'm going to be honest, I'm excited for this one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited too. Thanks for the great introduction there, Tim.
Hey, we'll get more into your intro, bro. Don't worry. Hunter and I became buds when he lived in California. He played for the Chargers, kicked some serious butt, and then was drafted over to the New England Patriots. Speaking of that, how much more do you like Orange County and Newport Beach than Boston? Or is that where are you living in Boston, or are you in a different suburb?
I am right outside of Boston, so yes, it is. The living is a little different. I don't get to go to the beach and see the ocean every day like I used to, which was a luxury. And also in November, living in California, Southern California is a tad different than the downpour of snow and the, single digit basically temperatures here.
No, that's cold.
Yeah.
See, I grew up I know it's like being in a cold area. I grew up in a place called Buffalo. Super cold there. I don't know if you've spent any time in Buffalo. I think you'll be there at least once this year. For work, I think. You'll be there for work, if I have it correct.
That is correct. Yeah, I've been there a few times, the beautiful city of Buffalo. I have.
It is a beautiful city.
It is. I've been in some cold ones there, that's for sure.
It is freezing.
Justin moved from freezing Buffalo to 114 Phoenix, Arizona is where he is current living. So
with a stop in California, with a short 10-year stop in California.
There was a stop. That's true. So Hunter, so good to have you on, and you've had a pretty awesome professional athleticism career. Right off the top, like, what's it like to be a professional athlete and play in the NFL?
Yeah, it's it's awesome. I love it. It's a dream come true. It's obviously what I dreamed of when I was young. So to be able to wake up every day and be able to live something that you dreamed of when you're a little kid is awesome. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, I'm playing a child's game for a living, so it's a blast.
So you really, as like a young boy, you dreamt of playing in the NFL. It was like an early dream.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I think I obviously had other things on the docket, but I was always super into sports. So, and my dad was a football player in college. And so football was always, I loved it. I loved basketball. I just wanted to be a professional athlete at something in some aspects. So that was a dream. You never know. There's a lot of work and steps that you take to get there, and you don't know if that will actually, happen sometimes, but to be, standing in it now is pretty special.
Well, so I'm curious because there's probably a lot of guys listening who also had the dream of playing some kind of professional sport. At some point for you, you grow up, it's a dream. Well, at some point it was like, this could actually happen. Like this dream, other people have dreams. Not all dreams come to reality. In your case, it did. What was that juncture? Where was that juncture point where either a coach or a parent, someone said, hey, like, you take it seriously, like this could happen for you, and where you started to like really believe, like, no, I'm gonna do this?
Yeah, I think I took it step by step. I think it was when I got to high school and I started playing high school football. I had a dream of playing in college, and I knew that there was going to be a lot of work and a lot of extra work and a lot of time of training and a lot of extra time to achieve that. Obviously, God blessed me with some size, thankfully, so that always helps. But what you're going to do with it kind of is on me. So putting in a lot of extra work, trying to get better, trying to get stronger, trying to get faster. What advantages could I get? So in high school, obviously there was a goal of getting to college, and finally offers started coming in. Got to college, and I just wanted to be a good college player and play and get going. Played my freshman year, had some success. I think it was probably like midway through my sophomore year, and I was still having some pretty good success in the SEC, playing against some high level competition. And I was like, you know what? If I keep working at this, I'm gonna have a shot for sure, at least, and then it's gonna be up to me to run with it.
So, and you played in Arkansas, right? Collegiate.
Yes.
And the Razorbacks, Arkansas Razorbacks.
That's correct. That boy.
Now you have a brother that's playing there right now. Is that right?
Yeah. He just finished up.
Oh, right on. So the whole family, they love.
Now, is he going into the NFL as well?
He's not. I have two brothers that played there. One got done 2 years ago, and one just got done this past year. They're both, one's is a financial advisor, and then one's about to go work for Walmart.
Is there any? So I went to college with a couple guys that multiple of them went to the NFL. A couple of them didn't, and only one of them really made it big in the NFL. And it was always interests me that for them, all the brothers were like they're brothers before they're anything else. Was there any weirdness, or because again, every guy grows up, especially if you're going to college, they want to play in the NFL. Was there any weirdness or contention, any oddness around, man, you actually made it to the NFL, they didn't, which is fine, by the way. I don't have any of the characteristics you would need to the NFL, but did that create any family dynamic that was weird?
No, my family is really close, and me and my brothers are really close, and so, we don't like take things like that like personal. Like, we want success for each other. Like, there's no jealousy there really at all, which I love. I think obviously there was a lot of pressure on my brothers playing in college behind me, and I always tried to like come back a little bit and like not put that on them per se. So I always like felt that for them when I was around. At least I always felt that pressure just because of my success in college. So they had to live with that, but I never tried to like, there was never any jealousy or anything that like affected our relationships at all.
And that's not the same in every case. So hearing that's a hard thing for people.
100%. Yeah. And luckily for us, and I think it started with me. I'm not going to rub it in or anything. Like, it's a blessing, and it's an honor every day to be able to do what I do. Like, I don't like go to them and kind of shove it in their face at all or anything. I want them to kind of enjoy it with me sometimes, like come to games and enjoy this kind of process with each other, basically.
See, this is another reason I didn't make it in pro sports, because I'd be mailing them autographed playing cards of myself. I'd be, I'd continuously be asking if like, hey, do you want to get a photo with me? For like, I would be unbearable. Unbearable.
Love it.
Well, one of the things I thought it would be cool to talk about is, we connected through the men's ministry at Mariners. I want to talk about, being in the NFL and being a Christian, and how and when did it's kind of two questions. What's it like to be a follower of Jesus in the NFL? But even before that question, maybe just share a little bit about your faith journey. If I'm not mistaken, you grew up in a Christian home. But at what point did your faith really become your own, where you really felt like you had a personal relationship with Jesus?
Yeah, so a little bit of my story. Dad's a pastor, and I had started a few churches, and then we got planted in Little Rock, Arkansas, big church there. So I grew up in the house, in the church, grew up in the Christian household, became a believer when I was young. But I think in a lot of ways lived off my parents' faith in a big way, and not until I got to college, out on my own, figuring things out for myself. Do I really want this whole faith thing? Is it for me? For sure. Like, obviously this was a part of our life. This is what my dad did, but is it like something I want to integrate in what I do? And it became my own towards the end of my freshman year of college. Really started living for the Lord, and seeing a lot of fruit from that, and seeing a lot of blessings, and seeing so much power in living in that. I think the next step was going to my level now in the NFL and trying to adjust to that life too. Just with the distractions that can come with a lot going on, and just becoming distant away from the church in a lot of ways. We're not being plugged into a church, not being rooted in some things that, you can get disconnected. And so there's always been a struggle with that. And, that's hard sometimes with our profession, because we play on Sundays. It's hard to get into a church. You're pretty much gone every weekend, home game or away game. And so it can be hard, but I would say a lot of teams do a good job of having a chaplain that's very involved, having Bible studies that keep guys connected to the Word, and keep connected to each other, and being able to bounce things off each other and talk, and really have an open communication in a lot of ways, and learn and have a lot of growth throughout a season. So, I had to learn a lot, but it's awesome being able to be a believer in the NFL, man. Like, this is such a platform, and this is such a great mouthpiece to be able to share. Be able to like really live a life glorifying our Creator, and showing people that there's more to life than, like, I'm at the highest level of what I could achieve, and it still doesn't satisfy me like what Christ satisfies me. Like, I've done some great things. I haven't won a Super Bowl, which that would be the next docket, right? But like, still, like, there's that I still don't think that will, fully satisfy me in the end. So that's a little brief synopsis of my story, and just kind of being a believer in the NFL.
But what about as a pastor? I have 2 boys and a girl. I mean, this isn't necessarily relevant to all our listeners, but I am curious about being a pastor's kid and what that was like, because a lot of times there's a reputation for pastors' kids, and they just go wayward and do their own thing because they're just exhausted by the church. Dad's always gone, whatever, totally consumed by the people, the congregation. How was that for you and your experience with Dad?
My dad was great, man. My dad was very involved. Kept us in the church, really, but like, I would say, like, in a lot of ways he didn't force it. Like, as we got older, when we were younger, like, obviously we were going, but like, as I got older into high school and stuff, like, did a good job of like allowing us to try to find our own faith, if that makes sense a little bit. Like, I mean, obviously we were still in our, like, kind of under our parents' roof and learning, but like just doing a good balance of like trying to like let us live a little bit, and like having like boundaries, but letting us figure things out. And man, my dad was just involved. He, prayed over us a lot. I mean, took us to breakfasts and talked, just spoke life into us. And just like those simple conversations of just like learning and teaching, like just in the simple times. And like my dad was just consistent in the man he was too. I think that was the biggest thing. Like there was no inconsistencies anywhere that you could ever see, like in the house, outside the house, at the church. Like he was just a consistent man. And so it was, I think, easy to follow in line with my dad when he just lived a life full of integrity, really.
That's awesome. The relevancy to probably a lot of people listening, that's not the common story of a present age dad that is taking you to breakfast, speak life into you, and so critical for those of us who are fathers, recognizing that our kids are just sponges and we're just modeling everything, the way that we interact with the waiter or waitress, the way that when we're driving with them in the car and someone cuts us off, or the way that we do our life at work, at home, in all places. I think you said something that's critical, and that's consistency. And so for those of the dads that are listening, living and modeling a life, one of which is consistent. If we say we're a follower of Jesus, we're living that out in all aspects of our life. And there's no room for, obviously we're not perfect, but there's no room for us to say that we're this way and that not live it out at the home, because our kids are watching. And you have two, well, you have a little boy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's only what, one and a half, 2?
1.5, a little over 1.5.
So he might not be picking up everything yet, but and then one on the way. So you're a father. How's that been for you? And even like the balance, because I have another friend in the NFL, and when you're in season, it is full on. How have you done with balancing work and marriage and fatherhood?
Yeah, it's man, it's a blessing. I love it. I love being a dad. It's so fun. My wife was actually out of town this weekend, so I had little man for like 2 days, by myself. I have my in-laws here in and out, so that helped. But still, like I got to spend some time with my little guy, and like this time, like in this little break that we have, and like everything is huge. I try to like invest a lot of time into my being here, present in the home when I can, especially because like when I think we start next week, actually. Once that starts, it's just it's tough. I don't get to spend a lot of time with him, and even with my wife. It's hard, and it can wear on you a little bit, but you try to take every moment and maximize it. I think that's the biggest thing. Our Tuesdays, like during the season, are our day off. So balancing that, like I try to be home as much as I can on Tuesdays. And just be here. Like me and my wife, like at least try to go get breakfast maybe or something. Like that's kind of like our date. We have a date, like we try to do a date every weekend too, but like that's kind of like we just get away and can go grab breakfast or like a coffee or something and just talk through everything, maybe the week that's coming, like things that are going on. So like, and because the rest of the week is pretty chaotic. And just try to, and then that afternoon, like I'm taking care, like it's kind of like trying to balance things. Like I've started to like bring people into my house, like my masseuse or PT or anything, like trying to bring people to me, which for me now, like it might cost a little more, but like I think it's more beneficial and more time usage. Like I can be here for my kid and gonna be kids, and like be helpful at least as much as I can those times that I'm not doing something. So yeah, it can be hard, but man, being a dad is a blast.
So, is there you were talking about your dad before, and this is important to me because I've 3 boys. They do sports, they race. Was there ever things that you would miss because church just was a higher priority. Maybe coaches were angry, maybe whoever else, they were upset about it. But dad said, no, this thing at church or this camp that you're going to, or this thing we're doing as a family, this is more important than that thing. Or were there times where, church stuff's great, but you know who Jesus is, church will be there tomorrow. Like, we're going to go to this tournament. We're going to do this thing. Like, when what wisdom do you have? Again, being a pro athlete. So you've setting the stage that this isn't just like a random, a person that we're getting advice from, to have gotten to the level that you got to. There had to have been a moral, road to get there, that you encountered like these questions, but yet you still got there. How did those different determinations, how were they made through that process?
Yeah, I think, man, yeah, sports were always big, man. Sports were a big thing. And I did a lot of travel basketball, a lot of travel baseball. So there was definitely weekends where it was tough. And obviously my dad being a pastor, so sometimes he wasn't, like on Sundays, he wasn't usually at those tournaments, and my mom would take me or something like that. So there was, I think in those instances, I feel like my parents always try to like pull, like we either would go through like try to teach us something, or just like talk through something, or talk through a story, or whatever it is, like trying to pour into us a little bit, even when we were young, if we missed church. And maybe just listening to worship music, whatever it was, and trying to prioritize that if like we were going to miss church or like be away. And from that, we always prioritize family. Family was always big. So if I remember a lot of times, like my friends would go do something on like a Friday, and like that was a big night for like us as a family, like getting together and eating dinner together and like spending time as a family. And like sitting down and eating, like sometimes, like I feel like in the busyness, it got kind of crazy. Like, I had brothers and they were going to do things, I was going to do things, but like Friday night was like a big night to try to sit down and like we always had like burger night, and that was like, we'd have burgers and chop it up and try to spend time together. And just like, that was huge. And just like becoming close. And that was times where my dad, like, he might just being him, like we're not maybe talking through like scriptures or anything, but just like spending time together and breaking bread, talking through things. It's such a hard question to say, like, you need to do this, you need to do that. I think it just goes person by person, kind of like, I wouldn't say like you have to go to this baseball tournament, when you're 13 years old on a Sunday and miss church, and like, or you're not going to go play in the MLB, or you're going to go like, but also like there's such a dynamic too of like, I'm kind of rambling, but the church can go everywhere. Like, it's not just a building, you know what I mean? Like, you can carry like Jesus with us all times. Once you become a believer, he's with you everywhere, no matter what. The church is a building, and it's good to get poured into, and it's good to be plugged into a church. I think that's very important. I think the church is very important, but I don't think you don't have like, you don't have to be there. Like, it's not the most important thing sometimes. So I don't know, that I kind of rambled on that. It's kind of a hard question, but
no, I think you nailed it, because that is a tension. And, Tim, I'm sure you see this, men, we're trying to make decisions for our kids.
yeah.
And, where does faith play into this? Like, is it okay to skip church to go do a thing? Is it what I would align with is what you said, that, hey son, Jesus is with you all the time. Like, let's pray before the game, and let's listen to something on the, whatever, and play as hard as you can. But there's definitely
that's a hard question. I'll probably be there one day, so I'll probably circle back with you guys.
And yeah, so we'll do another episode, like, because this podcast will be going for years and years, so we'll definitely circle back in like a decade.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to talk about that, because as you know, and I've shared with you what I'm, the venture that I'm on, and building Maverick River Collective, and specifically to help churches all over the country build men's ministries. And one of the things that we've seen at Mariners Church is just the engagement with men. We have, I don't know, maybe thousands of guys now connected to the church, and they're proud of the men's ministry and the movement that is Men of Mariners. And and we're trying to help more churches have something like that. And because only 10% of the churches in our country right now have a men's ministry, and you just like you said, you got Jesus everywhere. You are doing men's ministry via the NFL. And so I just love to hear your perspective on men's ministry and the importance of connection with each other, connection with God and the local church.
Yeah. When I'm plugged in and connected in some aspect with other men, like that's when I feel like I'm rolling with God, and I feel in such a good place with my heart when I'm plugged in. When I get disconnected, it's kind of when these things, my eyes open a little bit more to the outside world, right? And you got so many distractions, and so I think it's so important to get plugged into some kind of men's ministry, something like just even this off season. I was back in Arkansas, and a guy that used to kind of be a mentor me and my wife Parker, him and his wife, they were doing like just a little men's group every week, every morning, and I went for 2 months, and and it was early, whatever, I woke up a little earlier than probably I wanted to, but it was so beneficial to my week every week, just being plugged in, being able to talk through things with other men that are a little older, men that are like my age, men that maybe are 20, 15, 20 years ahead of me. That's huge for me to be able to bounce off all different kinds of guys that have like walked, a little bit farther ahead in life than me, and a little bit wiser maybe, and seen things a little bit more. So man, it's so big for me to be able to be plugged in some aspect.
That's awesome. And imagine that it makes it really difficult, though, because of your schedule most of the year, involvement in that. But I know that there is, like you mentioned earlier, there's the chaplain, and that's how actually we connected back, because the Chargers are kind of home base in Orange County, so to speak, even though now they're playing in LA. But we know George, and you guys had, I think, every week before a game, like a Thursday night, you had a chaplain, right? A chaplain session.
Every Saturday night. Yeah.
Saturday night, yeah. And so what's that like for you with work and the connection? Are there, I don't know, I'm sure there is with many teams, but how about with the Patriots? Is there like a guys group and guys that are getting connected with opening up God's word and being there for each other?
Yeah, we have a chaplain. So we have a guy that's a chaplain for our team. We just hired about 3 years ago. And man, we have a great group of guys here. It's a lot of fun, great couples. We have a Bible study every week, Mondays usually. It's kind of when we try to chop it up. And then we have a chapel every Saturday. And then we actually have a couple study too, and a women's study. So that's huge to hit on that. But yeah, it's great. You kind of get in that routine throughout the season once that thing starts flowing. So it helps to kind of have that a part of your routine, and you really can see some growth with it, like in a lot of ways, which is huge. You feel like you can be so busy, but you kind of get some cool growth throughout the season in your faith.
Love it. So how do you feel about the season coming up? You're off. I think you said you start next week. New season, new year, new Hunter. He's been working out. How you feeling?
I feel good, man. I feel good. I'm getting older, but I feel really good. So I've stretched together.
Can we define getting older? Well, what is getting
in
older?
my profession? I'm getting older. Let's just say I'm on
And
my
how old are you?
8th year, so I'm getting older in my profession.
Because I'm 38. So how old am I in the NFL?
You would be very old. You would be at the upper echelon.
Extremely
right there with some Patriot greats the upper echelon with some Patriot greats if I have my numbers correct.
Exactly. If you were still playing at 38, I would give you a lot of props. That's for sure. Like the guys that are still hanging on like that, it's incredible to watch. That's for sure. But I'm feeling good. I'm excited.
Well, I'm curious. I know Justin and I, we probably don't work out nearly as much as you do, but what does that look like on a weekly basis? Your training and your fitness.
Well, off season is obviously different than in season. Off season, I'm probably training. It just depends on the time. So like immediately after the season, I try to take some time off, like completely. Like I say time off completely, but I definitely am not like lifting heavy anymore for probably like 3 weeks or so, and then I start integrating weights. But about a week out, I give myself like a week of like really not doing much at all, and try to just let the body recover naturally, and just try to address everything. And you start like doing some PT sessions. So I since my ACL, I've really integrated PT into my like, even because there's always something you can fix, and so I try to integrate that about 2 to 3 times a week. You're getting massages at least once a week, sometimes twice, and then I'm working out probably like 4 to 5 times a week once it really gets going in off season. That's including running, speed work, and then lifting. And then once we get to season, obviously I'm on the field with pads and stuff probably 2 times a week, and then you're lifting like 3 times a week, trying to do conditioning, and then just trying to keep the body healthy once the season gets going, staying on top of everything.
What's like after, I was always curious about this. You just played, it's a Sunday, you get pretty banged up, you're hurting, not from like an injury, but just the general wear and tear of some of these huge guys tackling you. What's the pain level? Are you just the next, Sunday afternoon and Monday, just recovery mode, doing all sorts of different things to not hurt?
Yeah, there's been lots of Monday mornings and Monday like afternoons. I'm like, whew, we gotta go do this again next week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man. So there's definitely those Mondays. There's Mondays you wake up and you're actually like, wow, I feel that wasn't terrible. I thought I'd feel worse. So yeah, the Monday you wake up, it's really sore. Like my process is usually like, I'm gonna hop in the cold tub pretty much like immediately after the game. If it's something really bad, I'll roll out or try to get some body work maybe on a Sunday night or a Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go in. I'm getting like a workout. I'm doing a workout when I get in there, and kind of like a run to flush everything out, some of that lactic acid, and then I'll get into the cold tub again, then maybe hit like a sauna to kind of even sweat some more stuff out.
Now, is that all at the training facility, or do you have?
That is at our training facility. I'm doing that. And then once our Monday is done, watching film and all that stuff, I'm probably gonna get a massage that night, maybe on a Monday. A good flush, like deep tissue. If it's not Monday, I'm getting it Tuesday morning, and then Tuesday, it just depends. I'm probably doing some mobility work. Just moving the body a little bit, but just like relaxing as much as I can, doing Normatec, all kinds of stuff, just to try to keep it going.
Tuesday's the day off.
Tuesdays is our day off. So Mondays we're in usually, and then Tuesdays are our day off, and then Wednesday through Sunday is pretty packed.
Back on. And are you like having to just like pop ibuprofen or are you staying away from that and just doing stretching?
I'm trying to stay away from that. I try to not take in as much of that stuff as I can. So that's obviously if it's bad enough, there's some anti-inflammatories and stuff to help medicine wise, but as much as you can, you try to not get to that level.
And I'm big on the cold plunge. So are you you said a couple times a week, or are you doing that like almost every day?
Yeah, during the season, once we start the season, man, I'm probably doing it every day. Tuesdays I might not, just if I don't go in the facility, because I don't have one really here at the house. But at the facility. If I'm at the facility, I'm doing a cold tub every day.
Do you love it?
I love it. I love the cold tub. I think that's what's probably, I probably wouldn't even be here today, like still playing if I didn't have a cold tub.
Like you definitely, it's a noticeable difference where you're like, wow, without that, I'd be hurting in a world of pain.
100%. Yeah, it's huge, especially for your legs, everything, like all that. Like I think you can bounce back a lot quicker. And the more you do it, the better it helps, I think.
Are you going up like fully submerged up to like the neck, or just doing?
I'm not big on going to the neck. I will every once in a while, but like I like the cold tub, but it's not like the most enjoyable thing I ever do. You know what I mean? Like it's cold, but I'm usually getting up probably up to the right below the heart.
Yeah.
That might be kind of the distance up to the neck. It just starts.
Oh yeah.
It gets dicey up in there. I don't know. Like I like it, but sometimes I'm like,
What's the hardest hit you've ever taken that you're like, man, that I'm not getting up from that for a while?
It was actually a blindside hit from a guy in Kansas City. I was running a route out in the route, and our running back was going down the sideline, and he fumbled. And I'm chasing the guy because he's trying to run for a touchdown. And I didn't see him, but the defensive tackle, which it was illegal. There was a penalty for it, but he kind of peeled back, about 330 pound, 340 pound guy, and smoked. I didn't even see him. This used to be legal, obviously, but now it's not. And so I'm not even thinking about that as much. And that hit that's where I couldn't catch my breath for like a whole minute or two. So that one hurt, and I didn't know if I was going to get up for that one. And that one actually put me on IR. So
Dang.
that wasn't fun.
That is not fun. Well, man, it's been a pleasure to hear your heart and part of your story. And you are such an encouragement to, like you said, God's given you a platform, and you are doing incredible things for the kingdom. So I really appreciate what you're doing, and keep going. And I can't wait for what God's going to do in and through you and in the NFL. So keep up the great work. Anything that you would love to just share, kind of a closing to the guys listening, a word of encouragement that you would want to share?
Man, it's been a pleasure. Excited for you and everything going on, man. But I would just say keep the faith, man. Keep the faith, man. In the world right now, there's a lot going on, man. There's a lot of distractions, man. Keep the faith and know that God is good, man. He is present even in this crazy world that we're living in, and everything that is going on. There's a lot of distractions. And it's hard to sometimes feel like you see God through this, but he's there. And he's working, he's evident. So I think that's the biggest thing that I try to do every day too, because it's crazy for me too, man. It really is. And especially I got kids that are about to, I'm out to raise some kids coming up. So just keep the faith, man. And God is good.
Amen. That's awesome. Thank you, Hunter. Yeah, I think there's an underlying theme that in a lot of this conversation, I feel like that of this idea of distraction. We can be so easily distracted, and sometimes it really isn't bad distractions. We just get caught up in life and just the hustle and bustle, and then even working hard in our careers, working hard to try to be present for our families and be good fathers, but we still sometimes don't get in God's word and presence with him and engage the presence of the Holy Spirit. And I love what you said in the beginning, that God is always with us. He's present. It's not always in a building. And so I know that I'm a better father and I'm a better person when I'm anchored to Jesus, and that I get that time, that carved out, allocated time. It doesn't matter when, and it doesn't even necessarily need to be an hour. but his presence and how it can change us and transform us. And you've modeled that for, I'm sure, many, many men in the NFL and now your family. So, man, it's so great to have you. And I'm really proud of you. And I'm sure we'll talk to you again sometime. But thanks for joining the Conversations in the Wild.
Yeah, bro. Appreciate you.